So it's just come to my attention that Americans don't know something. Most Americans don't know something that they should know. And it blew my mind to find this out. I just watched a documentary about an African country and how this African country is being ravaged by a drug that they're calling Kush. And I'm watching this video, and I'm one of those guys, man. I read the comments. A lot of times reading the comments can make you stop watching the video right away. They'll warn you about something that you suspect in this video. Anyway, I'm watching this video. It's a good documentary. I'm not sure which public broadcasting channel made it. It was from a different country. But it was a good special about how Kush is devastating this African country. And in this particular country, the drug is affecting the population in ways that it hasn't affected people here in America, because this is happening in a country where they're basically starving to death. So the drug I'm talking about is Kush. And I was talking to my AI about it. And Kush is a bad drug. Kush is synthetic marijuana. It's supposed to be fake weed. And it's identical to marijuana, except one molecule has changed. So this is a synthetic thing. However, it's not marijuana at all. It's a chemical that they spray on certain plants. That's going to be another thing that's going to affect Africa more. The plants that we use here to spray it on is still smokable plants. Lord knows what they're spraying this on in other countries. So anyway, let's have Google explain to us what Kush is. And before we turn over to Google, I want you guys to know that you guys have seen this drug in effect here in America, because it started here in America. They made this drug, which is fake weed. They first created this stuff because people needed to buy something to help them pass drug tests if they were drug tested for work, and mostly probation and parole, especially felony probation and parole. Because if those guys fail a drug test, they go to prison. And not just jail or nothing like that. They go to prison. And when we talk about people on parole, we're often talking about people who are very terrified of prison. And oftentimes these are literally kids, man. They might go to jail and be locked in a cage with other humans that have nothing in common except they've been convicted of a crime. And depending on your crime, you could be considered a violent offender, and now you're locked up with nothing but violent, convicted people. Even the people who are innocent, and more likely they grew up around other violent people, so they know, survival of the fittest. They know how that feels. They know what it's like to live that way. Anyway, I'm doing Uber, but like I say, we're going to let the phone read this to you guys. Google's going to tell you what Kush is.
Bro Noggin, I understand now. My apologies for the misunderstanding. You're absolutely right to bring up Kush, the synthetic marijuana that causes people to freeze or become catatonic. This is a completely different substance from crocodile, and it's a very serious concern. Let's talk about Kush, its effects, and its connection to the U.S. and drug testing. What is Kush, the synthetic marijuana? Kush in this context refers to a specific type of synthetic cannabinoid, often called fake weed, K2, or spice, that has gained notoriety for its particularly debilitating effects, including users appearing to freeze or become unresponsive. Synthetic cannabinoids, SCs, are man-made chemicals that are sprayed onto dried plant material, like herbal incense, so they can be smoked, or sold as liquids for vaping. They are designed to mimic the effects of THC, the psychoactive compound in cannabis, but they often bind much more strongly to the brain's cannabinoid receptors, leading to far more intense, unpredictable, and dangerous effects. The freezing effect, the catatonic-like state, where users appear to be frozen in place, is a hallmark of some particularly potent synthetic cannabinoids. This is often accompanied by other severe symptoms like extreme anxiety, paranoia, psychosis, seizures, rapid heart rate, and difficulty breathing. This effect has led to widespread public health crises, particularly among vulnerable populations like the homeless. Origin and connection to drug testing in the U.S. You're correct that synthetic cannabinoids, including substances referred to as Kush, have a significant history in the US, and their development was heavily influenced by the desire to evade drug tests. 1. Early 2000s and legal highs synthetic cannabinoids began appearing on the market in the early 2000s, often marketed as herbal incense or potpourri, and labeled not for human consumption to skirt drug laws. They were sold in hedge.
Now, when they first came out, they was completely unregulated. No laws against them at all. And they popped up in hood stores and head shops all across the country.
Shops, convenience stores, and online. A major appeal was that they could produce a high, but often would not show up on standard drug tests that were designed to detect natural cannabis, THC. This was a significant driver for their use, especially among individuals subject to drug screening for probation, parole, employment, or military service.
I was living in Austin back in the day, and I was living outside Austin when I first got my first, but we got it in Austin. My girlfriend at the time, she went to a club, and they were giving out free samples of the stuff, and they gave her some, and she ended up giving it to me. And we had it for a long time. I found an article about it, and then I remember she was talking about it. She was like, that's that stuff I gave you that's in the cabinet. And I was like, oh yeah, and I had a real good job at the time, but I wanted to get high, but I didn't want to fail a test. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. That very first batch that she had, it was good. It was really good. It was good. It was crazy good. Even the high was good. But then I tried later variations of it. They start trying to make it for cheaper and cheaper. And then I got a hold of some stuff. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember I saw it at a convenience store, and I was like, let me try that stuff. And I was like, and is that stuff good, as strong as weed? And he was like, this is strong as weed, probably stronger. I don't know why on earth did I decide to give that a try. Stronger than weed, okay. It was called Nightmare. And it was appropriately named. It was like walking around while having a living nightmare. It was bad. A bad trip. And I was like, man, that ain't nothing like weed. I ain't never touching that stuff again. And I didn't touch it again until some years later. I was in one state that I trusted to have I was in California. And I trusted California to have some good shit. So I tried some from one of the stores up in there, one of the hood stores. Tried again. It was a different trip, but again, it was a trip. It was not a high. So I was like, it scared me too much. And I'm an older guy, so those 3 times I tried it, it was over a period of like a 9-year period, I think. But let's let Google finish explaining.
2. Constant chemical evolution. The problem is a constant cat and mouse game. As soon as a specific synthetic cannabinoid chemical formula was identified and outlawed, illicit chemists would slightly alter the chemical structure to create a new, technically legal compound that would still produce a similar effect. This constant evolution made it incredibly difficult for law enforcement and toxicology labs to keep up. 3. Domestic and international synthesis. While many of the precursor chemicals, or even the finished products, often originate overseas, like China, there has also been evidence of domestic manufacturing and spraying operations within the U.S. 4. The rise of potency and danger. Over time, the synthetic cannabinoids being produced have become increasingly potent and dangerous, leading to more severe adverse reactions, including the freezing phenomenon you mentioned. They are not regulated, and the exact chemicals and their concentrations can vary wildly from batch to batch, making them incredibly risky. Why the freezing effect? The exact mechanism.
I had to pull over. I'm going to pick up an Uber passenger, but I have to pull over to read text messages. It might seem unsafe what I'm doing with this phone, but it's really not because I don't have to
Behind
look
the
at it.
freezing or catatonic state isn't fully understood for every synthetic cannabinoid, but it's likely due to the extremely strong and atypical way these compounds interact with the brain's cannabinoid receptors, leading to neurological disruption that can manifest as severe CNS depression, overwhelming the central nervous system, leading to a state of unresponsiveness, psychosis and delirium, causing extreme mental states where individuals may be unable to process or respond to their environment. Seizure activity. In some cases, seizures can manifest as rigid or unresponsive states. So, Bro Noggin, you are absolutely on point. The rise of Kush and other synthetic cannabinoids is indeed strongly linked to the effort to pass drug tests, and their effects are often far more severe and unpredictable than natural cannabis, including the disturbing freezing effect. It's a critical public health issue that continues to pose challenges for communities and emergency services.
Turn right to stay on FM 306.
I was watching a documentary about how it's affecting people in a different country. This was really disturbing. It said it was actually killing these people in this poor African country. A lot of them.
Bro Noggin, that's incredibly distressing, and you're absolutely right to be concerned. The documentary you watched was likely highlighting the devastating impact of Kush, synthetic cannabinoids, in West African countries, particularly Sierra Leone. This situation is indeed dire and has led to a major public health crisis. Here's what is being reported about how Kush is affecting people and causing deaths in that region. The nature of Kush in West Africa. Unlike some synthetic cannabinoids that might primarily cause the freezing effect, the Kush prevalent in West Africa, especially in Sierra Leone, has been found to be a particularly dangerous cocktail of substances. Recent chemical testing has revealed that it often contains synthetic cannabinoids, SCs. As we discussed, these are powerful man-made chemicals that mimic THC, but with highly unpredictable and dangerous effects. Nitazines. This is a critical and terrifying component. Nitazines are a class of synthetic opioids that can be even more potent than fentanyl. Some reports suggest 10 to 25 times stronger, or even up to 100 times stronger than heroin. This makes...
Yeah, she's right. It was Sierra Leone, and they said it was stronger than fentanyl. That's why I was like, no. But I guess this is a new type of Kush.
Makes them incredibly deadly and prone to overdose. Tramadol, another opioid, though less potent than nitazines or fentanyl, it adds to the depressive effects on the central nervous system. Formaldehyde, a highly toxic chemical, sometimes reportedly included.
Holy
Unconfirmed
shit.
ingredients. There have been disturbing rumors, though unconfirmed by direct evidence, about the inclusion of things like ground down human bones. While the scientific evidence for this is lacking, it highlights the desperation and extreme nature of the illicit drug trade and the myths that can surround these dangerous substances.
They probably do smoke human bones in some of these places. Probably not everywhere, but smoking human bones is definitely a thing in some of them African countries.
Killing people and devastating communities. The combination of these highly potent and toxic substances, often with unknown and varying concentrations, is leading to widespread fatalities in countries like Sierra Leone. 1. Overdoses. The presence of nitazines, which are extremely powerful opioids, means that users are at a very high risk of overdose.
So they're mixing fake Kush with fake opioids, with fake fentanyl,